While much of the world is starting to move on from the worst of the pandemic, right now Hong Kong is facing a major surge of cases and deaths as a failure to vaccinate enough of its vulnerable elderly population has left the country that city still gripped by the Omicron wave. Here's ABC's Britt Clennett reporting from Hong Kong.
Overflowing hospitals stretched to their limits, morgues reaching capacity. Scenes straight out of 2020 elsewhere is Hong Kong's reality today. As the rest of the world learns to live with the virus, the highly infectious Omicron variant has finally broken through Hong Kong's once lauded defences. The message from Beijing, which has exerted more control in this semi-autonomous territory since the 2019 protests, is clear. Get your house in order. Last month, Chinese President Xi Jinping placed Hong Kong authorities on notice, instructing them to take all necessary measures to contain the virus. China is, of course, the last major country relentlessly pursuing zero COVID. Hong Kong was once a case study in COVID control after going long stretches of 2021 without a single reported infection. But now its death rate is the highest in the developed world. More than 3,200 people have died in the current wave that began at the start of this year. That's compared with 213 reported deaths in Hong Kong in the first 2 years of the pandemic.
This wave will definitely be contained.
To cope with the surge, Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam has welcomed mainland China's direct help, which was played up on Chinese social media as a patriotic gesture. Experts and healthcare workers coming in from across the border to build makeshift isolation facilities, and even rapidly constructing a quick access bridge to move materials across the border.
Behind this big green screen is a massive isolation facility, 3,900 beds. This thing was built in a week. It's made up of these cabins, and technically, under Hong Kong policy, you're meant to not quarantine at home. You're meant to be sent to one of these. That's a looming fear for people in the city that they're going to be caught up in the system.
Hong Kong wants to get 9 of these isolation camps up and running by April.
These are part of a line of buses bringing people from all around the city, mild positive cases, to isolate here.
Mixed messaging from the government has caused confusion, prompting panicked shoppers to strip bare supermarket shelves. Many are asking, 2 years into the pandemic, how was Hong Kong so unprepared for this? Despite having more than enough vaccines since early 2021, just 30% of Hong Kongers above 80 were fully vaccinated when this wave arrived. Ivan Hung is a frontline doctor and government medical advisor.
The missed opportunity is that we have repeatedly, for the last 18 months, trying to convince elderly people to get vaccinated. Unfortunately, the media wasn't very kind. It was like they magnified the side effects of the vaccine.
Hong Kong's unvaccinated elderly have been the vast majority of recent deaths.
Now, a lot of elderly people trying to rush in and get vaccinated, but unfortunately, it's far too late, especially in the elderly homes. What we're trying to do now is treat as many elderly patients as possible, and those who are not infected, try to get them vaccinated.
The city has some of the toughest social distancing and border controls in the world, with many businesses closed to comply. Local tycoon Alan Zeman has called Hong Kong home for decades.
It's kind of heartbreaking. Hong Kong was always a city of hustle and bustle.
The hardline approach also appears to be fueling an exodus from this Asian financial centre.
In February, about 71,000 people left Hong Kong for the month, which was a record. Obviously, that affects every business because if tourists aren't coming, there's limited shopping, there's limited dining. And so this brain drain has really caused a real headache, a real problem.
Zeman, also an advisor to the Hong Kong and Beijing governments, wants to see the city earn back its reputation as a gateway to the East and West.
Get Hong Kong's reputation, the name back to Hong Kong so people, again, can realize that we are an international community.
But there is no clear sign that Hong Kong will veer from its no-tolerance approach and whether Beijing would allow it to change tack.
Doesn't this Omicron wave give Hong Kong an opportunity to live with the virus?
Eventually, everyone have to live with the virus. It's a matter of time.
So you're saying mainland authorities might actually just let us live with the virus?
Well, I think in mainland, they also will use our experience. That's something that they could think about. We really can't defend all the time.
China, too, is battling a surge at the moment, with daily infections at a 2-year high. The country uses far more aggressive measures than even Hong Kong, including closed borders, mass testing and lockdowns, which allowed it to host the Winter Games last month without an outbreak. But experts point out that China will also need an eventual roadmap out of isolation.
Unfortunately, every single city or countries have to face the exit wave. The only thing we could do is to get as many people vaccinated.
However, that ultimate exit wave for Hong Kong and China may have to wait. President Xi is scheduled to visit Hong Kong in July for the 25th anniversary of the city's handover from British rule. He will want his first trip since the 2019 protests and his first outside mainland China since the beginning of the pandemic to go as smoothly as possible.
Britt Clennett, thanks very much for that.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.